broadly speaking, I think we're all in the estate agency game, right? Or if we're not in the estate agency game, we're certainly interested in how to ensure that our social media reaches our audience in that world. And so really what we want to talk about today is the importance of branding on social media, but also the importance of understanding how to optimize your social media so that it reaches the right people in the right way at the right time. But I think before we get into the detail, really want to take a step back and talk more about the importance in our world of an authentic personal brand. So this is where we know now that not just because of COVID, not just because of all the things that are going on, but the world that we live in now, people want to be in a relationship with someone, and so they want to have a relationship with someone who's a local area expert, and that person, they want to be in a relationship with someone that's authentic and real, that they can trust, because we all want to do business with people that we know, like, and trust. But here's the interesting paradigm shift. Okay, so we always lived previously in a world where it was physically placed, right? But then it was digitally enhanced, meaning that we would have relationships with people, and then maybe you had a website that you would point them to. The reality is now that we are digitally placed and physically enhanced. So what I mean by that is that now we have this opportunity to build relationships at scale online with our social media presence. But here's the catch, is that everyone's going to smell, salesy bullshit commission breath if you come across as being all salesy. They want the real authentic you, because at a certain point in time, you're going to want to have a one-to-one relationship. You're going to want to have an actual belly-to-belly in the room with someone, and they need to feel like they already know you. So this is why it's so important online and on social to create an authentic personal brand digitally. Can't say that. Jennifer, Alyssa, I know that I'm obviously preaching to the choir here, but give us your perspective on that and how relevant you think that is nowadays.
Are we talking about estate agent specific or just?
No, I think let's talk about macro for a second. Like in your world of digital marketing, isn't it true that now we have to be authentic and real, and that's what engages people?
Well, I think you have to differentiate it just a little bit. It's not that we want you to put your children and your family out online because it's engaging. It is. The people posting pictures of their puppies and kittens get like the most engagement. So if you want to post a picture of your dog, we highly recommend it. But what we're talking about here is a personality that you're creating online to show people to connect with you in a way that, as you said before, isn't too salesy. It's gentle, it's inviting, it's setting yourself up as an expert in your community, showing yourself at a local coffee house because you value that, talking to local business owners because you have that connection, and then people in your community who have already seen you and kind of know about you go, oh, they know the neighborhood, they know the area, that's who I'm reaching out to. I've seen that person before and they have a real heart for it. So that's what people are trying to connect to. It's not exactly that we want all your, personal laundry out there. We want you to be seen professionally, consistently, and in a way that's going to connect with the people you want to work with. Because in the end, none of this matters if the people who are reaching out to you are not people you want to work with. So it all kind of starts with who you want to reach, how you want to reach them, and what your goals are. Once you can answer those questions, then the idea of building an identity for yourself online is a lot easier to answer.
And I think right to your point is that it's going to be a lot easier because you guys will be coming from a place of being authentic and real, so it'll be easier for you to go out there and in fact stats will say like using the old 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, where 80% of your business comes from 20% of your efforts. In fact, there are lots of studies that say, 80% of the time you want to be posting about stuff that isn't about your business. And I know that might make people feel a little uncomfortable because they're more used to, in the context of a state agency, just listed, just sold. But my contention is this, guys, no one gives a shit about what you're listing or what you've just sold. What they want to know is whether they can trust you and whether you're someone that they want to be in business with and whether they feel connected, because your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And
Yeah.
so let's make sure that this is interactive. Do other folk in the room agree with this? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I think it's true. I think it's good. I think trumpeting your successes doesn't really impress people, but talking to them about maybe a beautiful garden or something, some context, or a supplier that's in the high street is probably more interesting to them than saying, I've just sold this or I've just listed this. You could probably weave that into the conversation. And I'll try and bring my Labradoodle into the videos as much as possible. That'll definitely.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I think you've got to, right? I think that if you're a Labradoodle guy, find other people who are Labradoodle people. I mean, it's kind of funny, and you can go very narrow on this. And I think that's the beauty of social media, building relationships at scale online, is that you will find a community that is massive. Now, of course, there might be lots of Labradoodle people who are not in your local area of Exeter or in your local market, but it doesn't mean that then people are kind of, they understand and connect with you and see that you're being real and that's your vibe. But then crucially as well,
and you'll know the local vet to suggest to them for their own animal.
There you go. Exactly.
But I mean,
were you going to say something?
You've tossed out a lot of topics here, from gardens to successful listings to value-driven content. I mean, you don't have to kind of always fly by the seat of your pants. We definitely suggest creating a schedule for yourself. On Mondays, you could post something personal. On Tuesdays, you could post a testimonial or a listing. On Wednesdays, you could post that Labradoodle picture. On Thursdays, you can go back and post a client picture. Once you kind of set out for yourself what you want to be posting and you do it consistently, then yeah, we've seen that the results kind of follow. But if you lay that out for yourself so that you guys are all busy, we're busy, but when you know that on Monday you have to post something about the local community, it's really easy to just kind of be like, I'm already here, take a pic, post, or have it scheduled in advance.
So here's what we're here to talk about, right? Is obviously the why behind it. And so here's the topics we're going to cover today. Is the why behind it. Why are we doing this? And then also about analyzing that authentic personal brand and the perception of your brand in the marketplace. And this is a good write it down a moment for you guys, that the brand could be an acronym that could stand for your benefits, right? The benefits of working with somebody, the reputation that they have, the attitude that they bring, like the kind of vibe that they have, and then the niche that they're in, and then the final design of it. So the look and feel is kind of the end product of all those other things first: the benefits, the reputation, the attitude, the niche, and the design. So we'll talk about the brand perception, and then we'll talk specifically around the content and how to ensure that because there's a lot of different channels now, right? And so there's channels of getting your social media out there, but then there's a distinction to be made between those different channels, not only the users that are on there, but also the way they function. So we'll talk about that, including like some of the specific ways in which you put content out there on those channels, whether it's a reel or a story. And then we'll get into a bit nitty gritty into the sort of the real tips and tricks around social media optimization and the things that you need to be doing on all of your posts to ensure that you get that maximum engagement. So I think we talked about why branding your business in the digital space is so important. But let's talk about like some sort of maybe some limiting beliefs or some hesitations that people have about putting themselves out there on social. I see, there's some cameras that are off. Maybe there's a little hesitation to sort of being on camera. The truth is that the strongest medium that we have now to connect with people is video. It's all video, and if it can be a video, it should be a video. And so, I mean, you tell me, Alyssa, you're very much into the video side, and I've been sending you videos. Like can you have too much video?
I think you could if you were posting videos that were like irrelevant. So I know that we talked a lot about your dog, but if your posts are constantly your dog like chewing on things or like chasing a ball, that's really not value-driven content. That's just kind of silly. So I encourage those kind of posts, sporadically, but not your main posts. Your main video posts could be things like walking through your listing or walking around town. Like, it doesn't always have to be your face. Like, I might start with my face and then flip the camera around and say, let's take a walk through my listing, and this listing offers blah, blah, blah. Or this is my favorite spot to eat lunch when I'm on the go, things that are helpful. If you are going to post in a restaurant, I would talk to the business owner or at least the manager and just make sure that they're cool with it. And then tag them because they want to get in front of people too. So you guys can form a partnership relationship. But
so
then,
that's really important, you guys. So they're saying like, make sure that you tag people. So this is one of those habits. If you're newer to social media, we're going to cover off a lot of some of the super simple basics. If you're going out there and you're talking about businesses, you want to tag businesses. You want to tag local area things. And you also want to geolocate tag stuff. So if you're in a certain area, if you're in a certain neighborhood, you can go in there and create a habit around that. Every time that you post, you want to make sure that you're saying where you are, because that's how the algorithms work, right? So the algorithms will send.
Sorry, hang on, just look. To clarify real fast, the reason we're saying tag, which is, the hashtag business name, or the @ business name, is because when you do that, your post shows up in front of their audience. So when you're thinking about the businesses that you're talking about or talking to, if you think that, they're in a community of home buyers, then when you tag them, you're going to show up in front of their audience. You didn't even have to grow your following because you're getting in front of theirs. It's just a great trick and something that definitely should be in your strategy. Sorry, go ahead.
And so with that said, I think that what we know as well is that you've got to be quite strategic around this, right? So you want to create buckets, if you like, of hashtags that are relevant to the kind of content that you put out. So if you're showing a property in a certain area and you're talking about, I don't know, very like the semantics of buying a home, you don't need to hashtag Labradoodle, right, Mike? Because that would be weird. So you have to pick and choose what hashtag you use. And so, if you're doing something that's relevant to first buyers, create these buckets of content and buckets of tags. Right?
Yeah. So one thing I would make sure you're doing is, come up with a branded hashtag for yourself. So whether that's your first name, last name, realty, whatever it is, I don't know, use that on everything. And then it will slowly start to become a searchable tool for you and your business. The other thing to do is don't get stuck on your hashtags. So if you're somewhere and you're like, I don't have 15 hashtags, that's okay. Just move on. You have 6, that's great. If you have 5, that's great. If you have 30, overachiever, good job. But also if you're at a business and they have a hashtag, a branded hashtag, use that as well. So don't just copy and paste constantly with the hashtags. You're changing your location, you change your hashtags just slightly.
Okay, so to get specific, let's pick 3 local hashtags. So that's hashtag Devon agent, hashtag Exeter agent, hashtag estate agent. Those are very specific to your locale. Then pick 3 hashtags that are specific to your business. Hashtag Keller Williams, hashtag whatever your business name is, hashtag if you have a tagline. And then 3 more that are just general, everybody can search for you. Hashtag home buying, hashtag home expert, hashtag
Estate agent UK, you know.
virtual tours. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that 333, local, branded, and general. And if you kind of have a mix of those, then you can kind of change them up and kind of see what's working for you. So
Now,
that's
let me ask you something technically. Is if you guys were to just copy paste all those hashtags all the time, do they see if it's not changed up and varied a little? Do they think it's like a robot type thing and they spot that? Or so do you need to be careful around that?
That used to be a theory. I'm not confident that it's a theory anymore. The more and more research that we're doing, a lot of like large content creators will copy and paste several hashtags over and over and over again.
So what Luke is talking about is there was a time when Instagram said, oh, if you use the same hashtags every single time, we're going to assume this is spam and not show any of your stuff. Right now, things are changing to where it's not quite that anymore, but it's something to be aware of. So if you want to change up your hashtags and find that creates better results for you, then cool. If you want to use the same ones over and over and don't see any difference in results, then cool too. It's a little bit of experimentation.
And then also, what about trending hashtags, you guys? Is that important, right? So if there's something that's particularly in vogue right now, is that kind of still a thing?
If you're on TikTok. So if you're, really pushing forward and you're on TikTok, yes. But if you are on Instagram and you're trying to use hashtags, we recommend staying around 50,000, 65,000 and under. And it'll pop up. So let's say you're typing in like hashtag real estate agent is probably going to have a billion hits.
Right.
Don't use those because that means you're competing against a billion other posts.
Okay.
So small scale.
Being more
hashtag Exeter agent only actually has like 50,000 views. That says that people are searching for that. And that says that you're not going to be overwhelmed by results. So that's what we're kind of saying to look for.
I like it. So it's the old analogy of when you go into a supermarket and you're trying to buy a bag of crisps, and it's like you got all the different, and there used to be lots of theories about you want to be in the middle aisle or middle height and then the low height, but actually it's just about being more, appealing to your core audience and sort of, being more specific, it sounds like. And then so we've got descriptive tags, we've got intent-based tabs, we've got interest-based tags. What else do we want to be doing on these posts? So let's hang on one second. Let's back up again, just in case there's some of you that don't know. We don't want to make the assumption that Facebook and Instagram, they're owned by the same company, right? And so Instagram is you can have it so that when you post on Facebook, it will also forward to your Instagram. Is that going to get the same reach, you guys? Is that the same power, or do you want to do it natively in the app?
It's the opposite. So if you're posting to Instagram, you can share it to Facebook. That also goes for your stories, which I highly recommend taking advantage of your stories. So think of your stories, they're 24
so back
hours.
up, what's a story?
Oh, so on your Instagram, you have regular posts, which is your pretty feed. And then you have stories, which are in that little bubble where your face is or your icon or whatever it is. And those, yes, Luke can show you up close.
I will show you. There you go. So the stories are at the top of your Insta feed here, and they're illuminated when you've posted something. And so
those go away within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that would be information like this, I'm at this coffee shop, or check out my awesome coffee that I got from, tag it real fast. Because that's something that can go away and nobody cares about in 48 hours. So that's great. I wouldn't share, you can share personal information up there, like or important information, but just remember it will be gone in 24 hours. So
But the
ask questions.
algorithm likes to see you put stories on there, right? Because they're seeing that
Yes.
you're engaging. So this is a thing, you guys, and I'm actually the cobbler with no shoes because my ring isn't lit up today. But the thing is that you want to be consistent every day if you can to post a story. But I'll make it really simple for you. And my wife told me this, who's in PR, and she said that you can actually just like forward somebody else's story. So not only are you then tagging somebody else that you like, who's kind of someone that shares same sort of vibe as you, but I mean, that's the easiest thing you can do in the world, right? So you can do that just to keep that little ring alive. So get into the habit of posting something every day on stories, just so that then Insta feels like you're engaging on the platform.
Yeah, and it's easy. I mean, like, let's say Keller Williams is posting a really inspiring quote. You can just click the little, there's like a little airplane arrow. You just click that and share it to your story, and there you go. You're done for the day if that's your jam. I recommend posting a few more than that, but you know, I'm not gonna say you have to post 10 every day in order to grow, because that's not true.
So neat little segue then. So give us a sense of like the consistency and the cadence around posting. What does that look like? What's the gold standard right now across social in general, and then let's drill into each specific channel.
Well, I'm gonna go with not the whole less is more, which unfortunately is a little daunting to think about. I know that when Luke mentioned video, that may have struck like terror and fear into your hearts. But it doesn't have to be fearful. It can, you know, ease yourself into it. So I would say your cadence is what you want it to be. So if you're uncomfortable with it, then it's going to portray to your audience. So like if you don't want your face constantly on there, flip it around, do tours of wherever you're at, do things that aren't your face, get a feel for it, and then work your way up to posting more often. It also helps get in the habit. So if you're posting 5 times a day and you're starting to commit to that habit, it'll become easier. You also may be a little more addicted to your cell phone. So, you know, pick and choose your times.
If you're analytical like I am, where you just want somebody to tell you what to do, the research right now shows that the best posting times, get this, you'll like it, is at 9 a.m. when people have already kind of checked their email, 2 a.m. when people should be sleeping and they're on their phone. Oh, wow. And then I think 6 p.m. is a new thing. Yeah, like it's right after work, which used to not be a thing. Again, I like her cadence thing is what you're comfortable at, because everything's going to change again next week. But if you did want to start somewhere or start scheduling posts on like a scheduler, what I've been telling people lately is 9 a.m., 2 a.m. and 6 p.m. which is crazy. And then let's see here, what's the research for consistent posting? With regular posts, the algorithm is a little different on Instagram and Facebook. Right now, they're getting less views. So that's why they, Luke and Alyssa keep talking about videos and stories, is the social media platforms are showing those to more people than regular posts. Again, that could change next month. Right now, it just kind of is what it is. So videos, stories, 2 to 3 days a week, maybe regular posts, and then keep those times in mind.
I got a feeling that the video is well, I think we're only just getting started, frankly. I think it's going to continue to be video. And like I said, if it can be a video, I think it should be a video, really. So I think that you've just got to, the more video, the better. And I think not only does it show your authentic self, but it's a great way to just, you know, get a lot of different information in from where you are, you know, what's happening and all that stuff. And so, you know, there's lots of specific, you know, ideas within the context of a state agency, not least the fact that you want to be doing that Monday morning market update, that Monday morning mortgage minute, that sort of, you know, the here I am at the corner of, you know, Pennsylvania Avenue and you know, right in the heart of Exeter, and, you know, so just be very, very specific, and maybe
anybody in the habit of taking a picture of homeowners with a key? Do people still do that? Maybe they don't.
Sure.
Like,
I've done it a
yeah.
few
So
times,
if,
but sometimes I feel like with that, you have to be like kind of careful because sometimes it can be a little bit painful, especially if it's a video, because they're not really like primed for it. So they're kind of like,
The capability to is boomerangs are great because they have 0 sound
yeah.
and they're super easy. So it can be like a boomerang of you like jingling keys or like throwing keys on the table, you know, and those are, they go forward and back. So those are easy and they don't have to be your face and they're like 3 seconds. So we have all of the easy faceless ideas for you.
yeah, if you want faceless ideas, we got ideas all day. Email us.
Nu, ține-o. Ce vrei?
Sorry guys, the battery on my computer just suddenly died on me. Forgive me.
Luke, do you need us to share the PowerPoint?
No, yeah, I think if you can, that'd be great. So let's do that while I get my laptop charged back in. So
Okay, let me pull it up. Give me just.
and then so then while we're talking about that, let's also bring up the point of with video a bit more. Is that obviously certain channels, you know, prefer certain lengths, right? And so right now, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but I think Instagram is currently 90 seconds now, 1.5 minutes. Is that right? For Reels?
Reels can be like as short as 30 seconds or 10 seconds. You know,
But I think the maximum that they'll allow
the max
is like, I think it's now 90 seconds, which I think is the new length. Now, you know, what we know is the engagement on video is different on different channels, right? So one of the things that you definitely want to do with your video is don't spend a lot of time initially saying, hi, this is Linda Horner, I'm with so-and-so, you know, just crack on, right? Just go straight into the content that you're looking to deliver, because otherwise you lose people's attention very, very quickly. But here's the good news, right? Is that YouTube is your friend, right? So YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google, which happens to own YouTube. And so YouTube can be a place where you can store as a kind of online repository, if you like, of all your content, where then it doesn't go away. So regardless of algorithms and regardless of what have you, and if you get into a habit of also putting the content then into your own YouTube channel, then it's there, right? And that will help drive the SEO of your website and your Google presence. So kind of going off topic a little, because we're talking more about social media optimization, but to the extent that, you know, YouTube and Google and your Google business page are really important, because that's where you can hold a lot of your content. Plus, it's also going to help drive that SEO and all that good stuff. Is that true, guys?
SEO, we're already muted. We're already on mute.
Yeah, so we're on mute. Oh no, we're not on mute. So yeah, he's exactly right. YouTube is one of the biggest search engines. So the way that people put in questions in Google, they put into YouTube, which is unique to other social media platforms of somebody searching by a question. I'm not sure if my husband all the time like searches for I don't know, car stuff, how to, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about, but he always uses questions and it pops up on YouTube, and that's unique compared to Instagram and Facebook, which uses keywords. So YouTube is definitely one of the strongest tools you can get out there and be found. Especially when people are looking in your local area for an agent, it's really easy to be localized on YouTube.
And I'll tell you guys, and I may be a bit out on my own on this in the UK, but we know that this is the case in America because studies have shown it. There are now agents who are selling homes online through these channels, through Instagram, through YouTube. It's literally, you know, you might not physically still have to have, you know, real estate offices and brokerages and all the rest of it. But what I'm saying is that you can literally, we just had one of our associates in our Dubai office close on a deal that was done entirely through a connection of hers through Instagram, you know, and it was a multi-million-dollar home. And so we know that this is happening now. And so it's about really kind of getting ahead of that. because this is what's going to happen more and more. And so, you know, take the time to go and form your YouTube channel, you know, get all of your main channels set up, your Insta, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your TikTok. And so obviously you don't need to go across everything. But what do you think are the main ones, guys, right now for this kind of industry, the estate agency business? Is it Insta and Facebook and LinkedIn, or what do we think?
Well, first of all, what you're going to keep up with consistently is what we suggest. If Twitter is not your jam, don't try to learn it. We want you to do the one that you guys are comfortable and can do consistently. That being said, here's my, corny analogy is the more real estate you take up on the internet, the greater chance you're going to be found compared to your competitors. So if you're looking really good on Instagram, really good on Facebook, really good on LinkedIn, YouTube, across the board, you're going to be picked up more than the person who isn't, which just, makes sense. So as far as searchability and impact, what do you think? I would say Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Yeah, probably.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then YouTube, again, you can post things to YouTube that you aren't going to be sharing on your socials. Like, if you're posting like a drone tour of a house location, that may not be something you want to share on social media all the time.
And as far as Facebook goes, because their views of personal posts and business page posts have decreased so dramatically, as far as Facebook goes, we would suggest joining community groups and getting in the habit of just being active on those groups and kind of watching the feeds. So when you want to do a quick post of a listing or a local business or something, just like post, your people have already heard and seen you. So when somebody is looking for an agent, that's your time to shine and say, hey, direct message me. But
make sure you're responding to comments on Facebook using your business profile. And I would recommend putting first name, last name, comma, estate agent or realtor or whatever you guys use over there. So that way, when you're commenting on a community post that says, hey, where can I find the best coffee in town? You could type on that and then it says, Luke Jones RE or whatever.
Estate agent.
Yeah, estate agent.
So even when you're not talking, you're advertising for yourself. You're an estate agent.
He really knows his stuff.
Well, hello, I'm looking for a house.
Yeah.
So guys, you talked about something that's really quite important, which and then we'll pause for questions in a minute and get some engagement back from you guys. But I think that engagement is the key, right? So it used to be that you wanted a ton of followers. Now that the algorithms have changed a lot, it's not about the followers, it's about people that are actually engaging with you. And so remember that because now through Reels and through the changes in these platforms, these are now open to everybody, right? So you can have a ton of views on something, and you could easily rack up thousands of views of a particular post, but it's really only the engagement that counts. So think of the engagement almost like when you're at a party and someone says hi to you or something. You don't just fob them off. You got to say hi back, right? So it's like social media etiquette that you need to actually respond. But you can respond using emojis and you can respond just, very simply. But if someone engages, engage back for sure. So I want to pause for a second because we've been talking at you for a little while, but give me some feedback, you guys. Is this I want to get a sense. Do we have people in the room who literally don't do any social at all yet and they want to do social? And have we got people in the room who are all over social but want to figure out how to do it better? Give me some feedback, from you guys.
Well, I use Facebook and Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I've used Twitter in the past and hasn't really worked, but you get far more engagement through Facebook in any case. And just what you were saying about video, video is proven to be 5 times more effective than a still image. So it's, from a marketing point of view, definitely a good thing to include in your mix.
And you've been using it more and more in your business, right, Simon? Since we've known each other, you've been sort of ramping it up. So have you seen a marked improvement in the growth of your community and engagement in your community?
Yeah, I mean, I link up to local communities in my area, and I post all sorts. So it's either stuff that I'm doing, it's upcoming properties that I'm about to put on the market, and I tend to do it before I put it on the market to warm everyone up and get some initial inquiries. And then I also, once it's on Rightmove, I include the Rightmove link to it, and the usual hockey stick in terms of, that's basically when you launch it, and that's over time.
Yeah.
If I do a Facebook campaign, then I get spikes.
Oh, good. So you
I
get little spikes
engagement in terms of, well, views in any case, and I can tell that because I include the Rightmove link, and it comes up on my Rightmove report, and I publicize that. So basically, do other agents do this? And I've got proof of the pudding, which is my chart, and I use that in my Facebook posts as well.
Smart, I like that. And so it kind of feels like it's a journey, right? So when you're launching your new listing on the market, there is so many opportunities in which to market around that using social media. So you've got your coming soon, and then you've got your about to launch, the sneak preview, and then you got hitting the market this weekend, and so there's just a lot of ways to. But again, going back to your point, Mike Shaw earlier on, no one wants to braggadocious kind of like, hey, I just sold another property, whoop-de-doo, right? That's not interesting. What they want to know is the stats behind it. They want to know what's happening in the local market. They want to know where the prices are. They want to know what's happening, right now with how many days of inventory is there on the market. Because as we know, there's more inventory coming on, and days on market is starting to increase and not decrease. So it's all that kind of stuff that I think is really important to be able to share.
And I have I have got a listing that came from Facebook as well. So it does work.
It sure does work. Good. So let's throw this out to you guys. Any other areas that we've covered off so far that you'd like to have, that you have questions on or need clarity over? That's amazing. We're being so clear.
I've got one. Look, yeah.
Go on, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a dinosaur at this, yeah. I am getting better at it. Could you just explain to me about the hashtags and how that actually works? Because you mentioned that if you can group one, so would you group hashtags for, like, a group of hashtags for your Facebook and for your LinkedIn and for your Instagram, and then just drop them in?
Jennifer or Alyssa, you take this.
Couldn't find the unmute button, sorry. So that's a really good question. Your hashtags, it's going to be a lot of, unfortunately, trial and error for a little bit. And it may, your trial and error is not day to day. It may need to be a whole month where you're trying some location hashtags with your mix of general and
I think
branded.
To start from actually how they work, it's very cool. Actually, we could speak all day on like hashtags and keywords and search terms, but what happens is you're basically labeling your platform or your post with a word that describes it. So when you do hashtag Exeter agent, you're hoping that somebody who searches Exeter agent, your post pops up. So think of it like a label, so that when people are searching for something similar, yours pops up. So that's why it's so important to do a mix and to kind of do a selection, because if somebody is searching for something more general, it might pop up too. You're trying to give it as much opportunity to pop up in different areas that you can. So it's super hard because you can't tell what people are thinking or what they're searching for. Well, you can do a lot of research and actually come pretty close, but if you're going to guess, if you were a person who was searching for a professional online, what would you type in? And then you got to decide, okay, if I would type that in, I'm assuming hundreds of other people are going to try to be typing in the exact same thing. And then you're going to take that, and that's what you're going to want to use for
so you're saying put yourself in the eyes of the follower and the user. So kind
of not just any follower or user or client. Think about your client. Like what kind of clients do you love to work with? Is it first-time home buyers? Is it people who are transferring from another country or another county? Like what
investment properties,
investment property? Yeah, like
women, men. Like if you get very specific, there's riches and niches, as they say.
Yeah. So think of your ideal client, and then think as them, because one of our favorite phrases is, if you try and appeal to everyone, you're going to appeal to no one. So you need to kind of think about, who do I enjoy working with the most? Maybe that's not first-time home buyers because they're needy and annoying. Maybe it's retirement people who want an extra property. You know, you just need to think about that when you're seeing your hashtag.
And then Andy, one thing that, and I'll just tell you what I do, right? And whether it's working or not, I don't know, but we get a certain amount of engagement, and I think thanks to these lovely ladies, I think we're doing a great job. So what I tend to do is, when I write the post, if it's something that feels like it could be a hashtag that I'm in the actual text that I'm writing, I'll just create a hashtag. So instead of putting, market center, 2 words, I'll put hashtag market center. So then, because that feels like a hashtag, right? And then at the bottom, I'll always put a hashtag for the location, like Jennifer said. Always put a hashtag for my 3 words, which is, mine is action, community, freedom. So you see it everywhere, right? On my social. And then I'll always put in like the same type of things, but then I just simply copy and paste that block of hashtags, and then I put them on all the different channels. So I'm not going super nerdy and creating different hashtags for different social media channels. I guess one could, but I'm just sort of, copying and pasting on the different platforms.
One of the basic things I would do, and this is what I do, is sort of Northampton estate agent, Piddington, which is where I live, and the villages around me, generally speaking, about 200 houses. So, people in those villages are going to go to Piddington or Horton or Hackleton and what have you. And, I make sure that I include the hashtag or the words estate agent, because if they type in a search looking for an estate agent using that particular hashtag, then, clearly I will come up and others won't, because the nationals won't be as pragmatic as I will in terms of being sort of targeting those particular geographies. They'll be, estate agent Northampton or Bedford or what have you.
So any other questions? And then I want to move on to something even more terrifying than just doing videos. So any other questions out there? Okay, so the next level up, you guys, and again, lean into this because growth comes from discomfort, right? Is going live. And going live on Facebook or on YouTube is just a massive way of getting engagement, to the extent that it's kind of, imagine like breaking news, right? People feel like it's got to be newsworthy if it's live. And so consider going live, at least once a week if you can, in your communities, where you're talking about a specific hot button issue in the market. So for example, if the interest rates have ticked up a 1/4 point, and you want to talk about where loan rates are heading, go live with that. And again, what that does is it just kind of reboots the engagement with your community. And here's what's happening on Facebook is that it used to be that if you posted 100 times and you had 1,000 followers, everyone would see those posts. But now, because there's so much content out there, it's your posts to your community, your Facebook friends are getting lost. That's the problem, right? And so there are ways in which you can just remind them that you're there by doing something as brazen as going live. So it's definitely something to think about. How does that feel with people? Is that just simply terrifying and screw it, I'm never going to do that? Or you're nodding your head, Linda? Sounds awful. So, but give me some feedback on that. Why is that awful?
I would be worried. I wouldn't know what to say. I'd be stuck for words, I think.
Okay. So Linda was saying that she'd be worried about what to say and stuck for words. Remember, you know, we're experts, right? We know our local markets. We know what's going on in property, and we know things that people are genuinely interested in. And we mustn't make the assumption that it needs to be anything more complex than just simply, you know, what's happening with the property market right now. But also your perspective, right? And so again, this is one of the things, and you talk about authenticity and delivering content that's real, is that, you know, and Mike Collins, I said this to you the other day, I hope you don't mind me saying, is that Mike put out a great post full of data points and great analysis on what's happening in the market. But what he didn't do, and then he did do it, which is great, is kind of really provide a solution and provide his perspective. So instead of just delivering the news, which is all news is there to terrify, right? But we're there to clarify. So we had this opportunity as, you know, people in our local communities to go out there and be that voice of reason and be that person who can really clarify what's happening. So people want to know what our perspective is. So if you have an opinion on something, which I'm sure we all do, share it, and that's okay. It's okay to share that stuff. Do you guys agree? Does that make sense? I'm getting some nods.
So for our more, the more introverted people that we do work with, you know, you might try to just kind of schedule a day once a month and just kind of do it, rip the Band-Aid off and see like what the results are. Because again, we're not talking about, you know, short-term results. We're talking about long-term consistency. Your business is referral based. So by posting consistently, cohesively, and, you know, building up that kind of long-term presence, you're gonna see results. Now, in the short term, doing the lives, doing the videos, doing the reels, yeah, you'll get some good spikes and mega views. But as long as you have a strategy, the slide that we're on, as a strategy in place, and consistency is key, you should be kind of setting yourself up in a way that you will be getting the referrals over your competition.
And you mentioned something there, Jennifer, which I'm glad you did, because you know, there is, you know, a lot of times like there are lots of agents out there that are building amazing businesses because of their social media presence, and they're on it all the time. You're like, Monica, well, like, when do they do anything else? But what they're doing is they're being very smart around scheduling like a day a month, right? Where it's like video day. And you have a bunch of different shirts and skirts, and you just change costumes and move around and whatever, but you sort of prepare it, right? And so the other thing is that how many times do we get questions when you're a busy agent, you've got lots of customers and lots of clients, do you get like bombarded with all these different questions all the time? Just write these questions down, and then you can record in bulk. Here's a question that I had from a customer the other day, and so it becomes one of those things. So if you can set aside time to shoot content, you know, once a month and just pull up your socks and get on with it. The other thing that you definitely want to be able to do is shoot that, what we call evergreen content, right? So this is content that year round is going to be relevant. So then that way, you know, it's not specific to today's market, and it's not specific to, you know, like a specific listing, but it's just a general thing, you know, top 10 tips for buyers or whatever. And so, you know, create evergreen content and put a date in the calendar and prepare for it, like, and do a whole day. It's a good way to kind of get over that fear. And a great acronym for you, you know, I'm full of these acronyms. Fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real, right? So fear it's a subjective thing. It's inside of our head, because what might be very fearful for you may not be fearful for me. I have no compunction about like getting on video at all, but there are certain things that I find terrifying, which is silly. So don't worry about it. You know, it's all subjective. Any other questions out there? Any other thoughts?
Yep. I've got
Yes,
one.
Andy,
Sorry about
go
this
on.
because
Yeah.
I'm so crap at this and I just need to get better at it. So, and I noted Lucy's post this morning, and she was talking about like she'd invested in some more equipment. I'm thinking about like what sort of props do we have? What sort of stuff would help us be better at it? Because I see people like obviously holding the camera in front of them, and some of them look really good. And I've seen a lot. I watch a lot of sailing videos. I'm seeing people, you know, it's so professional looking, and I'm thinking, well, how the hell do they do that on their own? How do they manage to do that, and how do they present that? So, is there anything out there that we should be looking at if we're looking to be better than? I'm definitely a guy for radio. I'd be great on radio, but see videos, and I hate listening to my voice.
You're a handsome devil, Andy. Come on.
You know?
I mean, we would say invest in lighting if you're going to do video. So a ring light is as cheap as $30 on Amazon. It can clip to a computer. It doesn't have the reflection that like a lamp would do. It's a very kind of mute light that lights you up and does something like, I don't know, something really nice to the pupils. I know that's a weird way of describing it,
yes.
but like if you want to like all of a sudden like look real good, real professional, a ring light in the office. When you're outside, go in the shade. I know it kind of like looks like it's dark, but it's gonna you won't have those sunspots. So that would be a good thing to think about. When you're in a house.
Sound is a really important one, right, you guys? The quality of sound. So if you were going to invest in something, maybe get mic'd up or something.
You know, that's interesting. I wouldn't put that as the first. And yeah, definitely get a mic if that's on your list and you plan to do a lot. But a lot of these videos are actually watched on silent. So I would say if you were only going to buy one thing, the lighting is more important than the sound, but that's not to knock the sound.
Well, I would also suggest, I have like a list. I love doing this stuff, so I could talk for hours. I'm like getting super excited about it. Yes, the ring light, and you can buy ring lights that come with a phone holder. And so you can set your phone in there, and then Instagram and TikTok, if that's your jam, they both have the setting on there where you can set a timer. So you can set it up, step back, set the timer, and then you record. So use that tool. But yeah, have a stand. And if you're going to be in a room, like let's say you want to do a live where you're interviewing somebody, then that is when you would want to have a microphone, because most likely you're not going to be, you know, close enough to whatever recording device you're using to pick up everything. So you want to have something that can amplify your voice. But yeah, lighting, phone stand, maybe a microphone if you're you know, feeling real fancy.
So a ring light, that's a great tip. And then you mentioned in there, which I'm so glad you did again, is the importance of, you know, most people are now watching their content on their mobile phones, right? And oftentimes in areas where they don't have the volume on. So use captions. And the beauty of Instagram, and they now do this inside of Facebook as well, is that you can simply add captions, you know, and it's good quality, right?
Please edit your captions. I know when Luke sends us videos, I do have to go through and edit because it will, especially with accents, depending on how strong your accent is, it will make up words. So you need to make sure that you're not making up a new word when it's supposed to.
So are you telling me that you edit Luke's videos?
Just the captions. Just the captions.
Oh, just the captions. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a one-take wonder, Andy.
Yeah, right.
One-take wonder.
I thought that. Yeah.
Actually, if you want to talk about one-take wonders, here's some good advice. We see this all the time. Frame the shot. We don't need to see all your nostrils. Like just look straight on. Like it doesn't have to be selfie, but please don't
and
just
not
like have it down here.
Not this close to your face. Like back up a little bit. You know,
don't do it in your car. Don't show too much cleavage. Like, I know this sounds like high school stuff, but when you are looking, you know, good and professional and, you know, looking straight on, that already is going to validate you next to a ton of stuff already there. So things as simple as dress and perspective to ring light and, you know, microphones.
And the other thing that Alyssa reminded me of the other day is when you're shooting a video, particularly if it's something that you're going to do captions on, if you're too close, then the captions are going to be on your face, right? So try and, you know, be back and then you have real estate here in which to put the captions in. So that's a good tip if you're going to want to do captions.
Because captions, I mean, you guys probably aren't to the level where you can have captions that are only on during mute, but they're going to be on even if your voice is talking. So if it's covering your mouth, then it's just, it just kind of garbles it all up and looks funny. So. Yeah.
Another quick thing that I wanted to remind you guys of when you're shooting, you know, because again, on a budget or you know, we always recommend, of course, using a professional to go and do your video, your listing videos and things like that. But nonetheless, if you're doing a walkthrough, which is great because you're the agent showing the property, you know, what I know it seems goofy, but what you can do is if you hold the phone, because no one wants to see a wobbly thing, right? So the camera that's on the back of your camera is better quality than the one that's on the front, right? So you want to make sure that you use the camera that's the best quality camera. And then also the mic is on the front. So you want to have it held, I know it seems silly, but like hold it like this steady in your arms so that then it's kind of locked off. So you kind of create that steady cam thing, right? So it's a bit more of a flow when you walk through, but then you're also talking closer to the microphone. So that's a really good tip for you guys going through your properties and shooting your videos.
So I know we're approaching the hour mark and some of y'all have to hop off. So real fast, and then we can kind of wrap this up. One thing I do want to make clear is none of this matters if you're not giving people a way to contact you. So across your platforms, make sure your email, phone, however you want them to reach out to you is easily available. And then the other thing is we're pasting in the chat right now. We told you that there would be a freebie for staying through the presentation. And if you guys are jumping off, I want to make sure you have that. This we put together a social media calendar for the week, a 7-day calendar posting schedule, some templates for your social media, and some story templates to kind of get you started and wrap up a little bit about what we were talking about. So make sure you check it out and make sure you grab that. And if you're jumping off, but otherwise, let's continue.
Thank you, guys. And yeah, I think all I would add to that is that, you know, we understand the power of leverage, right? So the thing is that you can do a lot of this stuff yourself. You know, you can just use your mobile phone to go out there and just shoot content. Just do it, right? JFDI, just freaking do it. Just get out there and do it. But then you can also get more sophisticated and build a strategy around it. And Andy, you can buy the ring lamp and you can add some things in. But at a certain point in time, you know, it's well worth considering working with a social media marketing agency or a team that can help you to be able to create that kind of consistency and to be able to design that sort of schedule for you. And so, but, you know, you have to earn the right to do that, right? So as we always talk in our business, lead with revenue and not expenses. And so, but build out the plan where there'll come a point in time when you're like, yes, I'm ready now to actually get this outsourced and work with an agency. And I've been working with these guys for years. And for me, it's just about leverage. So for me, it's always about how can I earn more time in my day so I can do more of the things that I want, right, with my family and my friends. So I'll just shoot video and then I'll just whack it over to Alyssa, and then she cracks on, right? So it's leverage. But we've got to do the hard work. We've got to shoot the content and we've got to go out there and put ourselves out there in the community. And so I guess the way to think of that is that this is the best way to create relationships at scale in a very authentic way with people, is by using social media and using video. So with that said, any last questions or comments or feedback? What do we got? A resounding silence.
I think it's like, well, if you want to be an estate agent, if you want to be one that's not like totally in the dust or left behind, then it's like kind of do, like, I get it, I empathize, right? Because like I don't want to go live, like that's just not who I am, you know. But also if you don't go live, if that's totally out of your wheelhouse, and like you got to then find other ways to, I guess, kind of like make up for it. I've always kind of cringed when you see like for sale, for sale, for sale, for sale, sold, for sale, because it's so boring and nobody gives a shit you sold this or that was, you know, on the market, unless you're like really looking. So I don't know, you got to have something. You got to have something, some kind of presence out there, because anytime I guess you hire a service, like what's the first thing you do is like you usually Google it. So like if you're not there, then like you're dead basically.
It is harsh, but it's true. It's business Darwinism, right? This is the way it's going. And so if we're not doing this stuff, we soon become irrelevant. But this is, as Amanda says, it's an opportunity to just with a small little few things here and there be completely different from the next person, because your own authenticity that's your superpower, right? That's what makes you different. No one can take that away from you. So all of you have that opportunity to do that, and your vibe attracts your tribe, right? But then also we all, you know, because of the model that we have, you know, we have a very abundant viewpoint on this. There's a lot of properties out there and a lot of people with homes to sell that need our help. And so you could go super narrow and just be known in one little postcode and be just fine. But you have to tell people, you have to be out there and you have to be seen. So with that said, thank you guys. I appreciate you all coming along. Thank you, Alyssa and Jennifer. You guys are awesome, and we love you. And thank you for your continued help with our business here at Keller Williams Exeter. And if you have any questions, I think you put your details in the chat, but we'll also make sure to send out your details. We'll do a post following up with your contact information.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us.
Okay, guys, have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.